and welcome to Tamela and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday podcast, where we talk about treats, business, and life. This week, we have another amazing guest here to talk with us about culinary and about being an author, and we are so excited. But first, let me introduce my co host, Tamela. She's going to introduce herself and the guests.
Thank you, Taylor. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank
I
you.
am Tamela. I am owner of Torlitas for that sweet and crunchy taste. Torlitas is a dessert company located right here in the great state of Ohio, where I specialize in salty, sweet treats. If you want to know more about me and my business, go to at Torlitas. That's T as in Tuesday, Orlitas.
And Miss Tamela, are you going to introduce Shannon?
Yes. So, again, thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us. And what a wonderful opportunity it is for me to interview you, my fellow usher, and all that great stuff. Even though I don't usher anymore, I'll always be an usher. But I think that Shannon will do the best job at introducing herself and why she is here. She has a wonderful, wonderful book that's going to be released here soon. And she has some really great opportunities to share about her life. So, no more from me. I give you Shannon Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A little bit too much praise about me. We'll just bring that down a little bit.
Honor is due. Where honor
Yay.
is due.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for this amazing opportunity. It is very, very humbling to be a part of this interview. It's awesome. Again, my name is Shannon Morgan, and I am a chef by trade. I have a culinary degree in culinary arts and an associate's degree in culinary arts and design. I am currently working in the culinary industry. I work for Columbus State Community College. There's a restaurant that just opened last January, and it's called Degrees at Columbus State. And it is a fine dining restaurant, which is also partially owned by Cameron Mitchell. I am a preceptor chef in the restaurant. And basically, what a preceptor chef does is the culinary students that are at Columbus State, they have to do their training in the restaurant. When they come to the restaurant to do their training, I am the one who trained them. And I am responsible for 40% of their grade. So I trained them in the restaurant. And so, with everything happening with COVID, the restaurant was only open 7 weeks, brand new restaurant. And it was open 7 weeks. It opened around January 22nd, closed March 13th. The restaurant has been closed since then. But what we're doing, they're still training some of our culinary students social distancing. We're not real sure when the restaurant will open up again. We're hoping in the fall of this year. In the meantime, I am working from home. I still work with Columbus State, but I'm working from home. And so while working from home, I'm just kind of really tapped into my writing. I've been writing for years, but I never shared it with anyone. I've always kept my writing a secret. My mom passed away in April of 2013, 8 years ago, and I promised her that I would write because my mother loved to read and write, and she always wanted to write a children's book. So I decided to pick up that baton. During COVID, that was my opportunity to really, I feel like God was just really pushing me to do this, to write. Had a lot of things happen in the past 8 years, a lot of heartache, disappointment, rejection, losing my job, car accident, Rob, you name it, it happened. And I thank God for every bit of it. I'm so grateful that He chose me to go through all of that because had He not chosen me to go through all of that, I would have never been able to produce Prose from My Heart. And that is why I chose the title of this book. because of everything that I went through was just producing pearls. So I was writing poetry, and I'm also in the middle of writing a cookbook. And my daughter said, I think you should maybe put the poetry out first. And I was like, nope, cookbook's coming first. That's what people want. But then after speaking with my publishing coach, she just kind of really encouraged me to go ahead and put out the poetry and inspirational first. And so now this book is going to be released on Wednesday of this week, um, April 21st. It is available on Amazon, so people can purchase it on Amazon. You can start pre ordering your book now, and you can also purchase from me directly. So while we're waiting on this, I'm now working on the cookbook. So I have two more books coming out after this. So it's been an amazing opportunity, tapping into a gift that I really didn't know I had. So I thank God for this opportunity that He has poured into me for me to pour out into others. One of the things that you had stated is that we don't share too much about ourselves because, we want to keep it to ourselves. But you never know who you're going to bless. You never know who needs to hear your story so that they can have hope and say, if she can do it, I can do it. So,
Well,
um,
I
yes.
want you to just put a pin in that. There's so much more. We want
Mm-hmm.
to be sure that we give the people what they want and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Can you hold the book up again
Sure.
and show us what it looks like so they know what they're definitely going to order?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's in the screen. Can you bring it down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
Pearls
good?
from the Heart.
Yep, pearls from my heart.
From my heart, excuse me, from my
Mm-hmm.
heart. And you can get that at on Amazon.
Yes.
What is your social media handle? So just in case someone wants to go to your social media, and
So,
there's a link there, I believe, also.
yes. On Facebook, you can find me under Shannon Morgan. I kept it real simple. Instagram, I am Shannon Morgan. Okay. So you can find me on Instagram. To be honest, on Twitter, I don't know who I am. I believe I am Chef Shannon on
Okay,
Twitter. Yes, I'm
okay.
pretty sure it's Chef Shannon. But
We'll be able to make sure that they have the links and things in the bio and stuff
yes,
like that.
yes,
So, Shannon, wow, where do I begin? I think let's talk about your book and what
yes.
inspired you to write this book, besides your mother, and may she rest in heaven. Um, what
So,
what really brought out, why now? Why this book now, and what is the book about?
so why now is a good question. Um, 2020 was a challenging year for everyone. Um, what we experienced a lot of, what we got to witness, is a lot of racial divide. Um, and to be honest with you, I didn't know what was in me until I started writing. And when I started writing, all of that, all of those issues of life began to pour out of me. And I feel like during the COVID, during the shutdown and isolation, was a wonderful time for me to get closer to God. Um, the church doors were closed, so there was no running to the church, and everyone was locked in. And that's when God began to show me who I was, and He began to teach me how to love me. So I do write about self love. I struggled with confidence. I struggled with courage. So writing this book took a lot of courage. Not just writing the book, but sharing the book with the rest of the world. That took courage because I've always been writing, but I've always kept the writing to myself. Now I decided to step out on faith and share with the world simply because somebody else may be out there that might read this book and say, wow, Maybe they're inspiring to be a writer but don't have the courage. Maybe there's a poem that touches them in a way that no one else could touch them. So it took faith to step out on faith and say, all right, here we go. I'm going to share it with the world. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Very awesome.
yes, ma'am.
So, so when with your book, have you ever thought about putting poetry with your recipes? A lot of
Ooh.
yeah, because I know a lot of meals that I make are normally from like a specific time or
Mm-hmm.
specific memory, um, or even like say like um a coconut cake. I always made them with my
Mm.
stepmother. So that could be like a poem about
Mm-hmm.
motherhood or something like that. And you can definitely combine the two because that'll make it feel like more personal and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And it's ironic that you asked me that because that is actually what my next project is that I'm
Oh,
working on. I'm working on a project to start a YouTube channel, cooking
mhm.
channel, and it's going to kind of tie into poetry and just one of the things that I did for several years. I had a program called Chef. It was a nonprofit organization, and
Mhm.
Chef stood for Cooking to Help Enrich Families.
Okay.
And I used to go to recreation centers, to community centers, food pantries, and I would set up a table and I would do cooking demos based off the items that they were handing out to the
Yeah.
community. So I
Mhm.
would take those items and I noticed that people were accepting these items because they were free, but they didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So my demo, I would demo right there in front of them. Okay, they're giving out cabbage. Let me show you what you can do with this cabbage. Let me show how many meals you can prepare with these potatoes. And
Right.
so now that I'm not able to physically get out into the community due to COVID, I am going to do the same thing here in my home, but
Right.
do it via YouTube and still do some culinary, just teaching them some chef secrets and tying poetry into my cooking. And so I was thinking about cooking with grace, you know.
I love it.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I
Mhm.
know a lot of people, like you were saying, don't know how to make um food given from like food pantries, especially
Mhm.
because it's fresh and
Mhm.
we are so used to things coming in boxes or coming like
Yes.
pre-packaged and already made.
Mhm.
Um, it was I remember I told my kids that we can make corn dogs and they were like looking in the freezer like where the corn dogs at. And I'm like, no,
No.
you can make them.
No.
They're
Mhm.
actually deep fried before we get them in
Mhm.
the freezer, and just like
Mhm.
simple stuff like that. If things happen, you want to be able to know how to turn dry goods um into something that's edible
Yes.
that you can eat.
And
uh
yes. And meals that stretch. One
mm,
of the things that I had observed in the grocery stores is, at that specific time of the month when mom or dad, whoever has food assistance, and like you said, they're loading their carts up with prepackaged food, things that are high in sodium and
yeah,
sugar, and things that don't last. And so what I would do is I would go to like Sam's Club and buy the rolls of ground beef, and it's like about 15 pounds. I would buy the roll and I would show them, I would break down that roll and pre-patting hamburgers, make up small meatloaves, make up Johnny Marzetti. So I could get 4 meals out of that roll, pre-package it and show them how to label, date it, and freeze it. That way, if mom wants a hamburger and the children want Marty Marzetti, mom's not taking out that whole roll, unthrowing that whole roll for one burger. You
right.
already got one burger you can pull out. So
You just
And
said
it and
the name of your next book, Meals That Stretch.
there it is. There it is. Thank you,
yeah, and it
Tamela.
always Yeah, it comes really simple to somebody who's used to doing it. But if you're not used to doing it, especially like having little
Mhm.
children, like by the end of the day, you just want to go to McDonald's or somewhere. But
Mhm.
I don't eat McDonald's. I don't recommend it. But,
No.
somewhere
Mhm.
quick and
Mhm.
fast just to say that they ate something. But nutrition is a whole different subject.
It is. We perish for lack of knowledge. So,
Mm,
if they don't know, we can't blame them for what they do not know, especially if they
Mhm.
live in a food desert. Someone
Yeah.
has to go to them and teach them. And
explain what a food desert is for the audience that does not know.
yes, a food desert is you typically a community that is not um, close to a grocery store.
Right.
Whatever your local grocery store is, but it's miles away. And so most of the time, what we find in those lower income communities are corner stores. And so the
Right.
corner stores, they may have groceries, but most of
Mhm.
the time it's outdated,
Yep.
and it typically isn't anything that does not have nutritional value.
Right.
So you might find bell peppers and onions there, but what color are they? Are they the right color? They're
Right.
supposed to be green, not black. So
Mhm.
so these
Yeah.
corner stores take advantage of the community that they're serving because they know that these people do not have transportation. They have to walk to the corner store. And most of the time when you're walking, you don't want to carry a lot of bags with you. So every day they're going to the store and they're using their food assistance, and then the balance is dwindling down, but the refrigerators aren't full. So
Wow.
Especially of fresh foods. It's a lot
first,
of processed
mhm.
foods.
And when you're not introduced to Brussels sprouts, asparagus, broccoli, those things, when you're not introduced to it, you're going to go to the frozen vegetables.
Mhm.
And what
Even if you,
happens?
mhm,
Mhm. It's not properly prepared.
mhm.
Hmm.
And
So,
even if you are introduced to it, it's in a way that you don't like it and you don't know the
mhm,
seasonings, you haven't
mhm,
roasted them, you haven't, you
mhm.
know, for those who can put butter on them and make them really
Yeah.
good, there's ways to prepare them to make them a likable dish, for your
Mhm,
family or
mhm,
even for yourself, because there's a lot of people that are single, that are, that are home,
mhm,
that are not cooks that
mhm,
need to learn how to make meals and things that stretch or meals that
mhm.
they're Ubering, they're Door Dashing, and all these other food delivery systems to get food
Right.
to them because they're not cooks, but it's a good opportunity with this cooking with grace. I think would be a
Mhm.
great opportunity for singles as well to
Yes.
tune in. I
Yes.
would like to know
Mhm.
if you could share with us one of your favorite poems
Mhm.
from the book.
Yes, ma'am. I actually shared. Can we share your favorite poem?
Well,
Okay. 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 Let's do. How about I do one that kind of ties into what we're experiencing right now, racial divide. And this particular poem is called "What Divides You and Me." Is that okay?
I'm
Okay.
open. Yes.
Alrighty. So forgive me if I have to look down, okay?
You're fine.
Okay.
Okay. What divides you and me? The line is divided, and we stand face to face. There's an invisible line that divides you and me because of our ethnicity. Yes, our race. I'm sorry. Did I say that we are divided because of race? What I really meant to say is that we're divided because of hate. Your shield, your gun, your armor, and mace will not cross the line so that the past can be erased. Medgar Evers, Dr. King, and Emmett Till, their names are on a long list of black kings and queens that cowards have killed. If I had to choose what color I could be, I would choose the color of love. Now, that's a color we all should see. But for some reason, black is the color that represents hate. You use my race to measure my success and determine my fate. Who gave you the authority to hate my creator? He meticulously smoothed out the color of my flesh. Yet some are intimidated and only see my skin as a threat. Dream, legacy, equality, free. These were words of hope spoken by Dr. King. Being Black in America is not always what it seems, never waking up from the racial injustice dreams. For us to cross the line of divide, America must first be willing to swallow its pride, swallow the wrong that it has believed was right, raping and robbing us and hanging us at night from the weeping willows and the old oak trees, trying to eradicate the Black race from being what God intended for us to be, trying to erase our ancestry before we were slaves living in our own country, before the diseases of the infested slave ships, before the waters became our grave pits. The line of divide started overseas. You kidnapped us, and now you have the nerve to hate me because I was originated from my land of the brave and my home of the free, and where my people were free. Now, that is the invisible line that has divided you and me.
That is a beautiful poem.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, can it be
You
more plain? Can it
right?
be more plain?
Miss Shannon, you sound so calm, and then when you read that poem, I'm like, get him.
Something else came up out of me. I'm telling you. I didn't know. I didn't know until I started writing. And it was like God was using my hands
Mm.
to just write and flow. If you don't mind, can I share one more with you?
Oh,
And
absolutely. Share as much as you want.
okay, this one is called Humans Dehumanized.
Mm.
And now, mind you, not all of my poem is about racial divide, but I'm just so touched by what we've witnessed. I can hear their voices crying out from the graves. I can smell the blood of my ancestors who were slaves. They were not considered humans, no, more like property. They were on a stage put on display for all the buyers to see. I am in their DNA, and their DNA lives in me. I am the voice of my brothers and sisters that died as slaves before me. Our women would give birth, and before they could nurse, their babies were ripped from their breasts. These women were put right back out in the fields with no time to heal or rest. Our Black men were beaten. They were beaten down in their mind, bodies, and souls. They would pray and beg God for death because it was the only freedom they would know. They would, I'm sorry, their tears were their pillows, and pain would wrap around them like sheets. They would wear calluses as hands, and blood was like shoes on their feet. The cotton fields became their graveyards, and sorrow is what they would eat. Before they would rise to see another day, they were already covered in defeat. Hope was hopeless, and joy, well, joy they never knew. They could not read or write. Their day would begin in the cotton fields before the sun cracked the sky before with daylight. Weekends were no exceptions, and holidays, well, that was just another day. From the crib to the grave, they tried to be brave. They were humans dehumanized. This was the life of a slave.
I so appreciate you for taking
Mm,
the time to read your poems. I try to teach history to
mm,
my children, and not from the perspective of history books, because it's normally a
yes,
one-sided history.
yes.
Um, I love that God tells us why we were in the position and why we were in slavery, because
Mm,
it's the same slavery that helps us to be in sin.
yes,
It's the same
yes.
rejecting of Him. So I'm happy that you allow Him to use you for this time and for your
Mm,
book.
wow, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's magnificent.
Thank
And if that's any indication of what the rest of the book is like,
you.
then
Mm,
definitely it's just your soul comes through. It's not
yes,
just surface. It's not just a surface thing just to make sure that you sell a book. This is something that's deep down and gut wrenching, and so you're able to pour out what you have been given.
yes,
So I
yes.
thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, it was. I mean, there's been many times I've looked back and said, wait, did that come from me? Is that what was in me?
Mhm.
And I didn't know. I didn't know. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I have to admit, I have a wide variety of friends of all races and nationalities that I love, truly love. But this needed to be shared. And one of the things that I ask people when you open up the introduction, I say, open up your heart. Open up your heart to receive the words that are coming from my heart. Don't
And
be
you
judgmental and don't think, oh, I didn't know Shannon felt that way. Well, guess what? Shannon didn't know she felt that way.
Right.
So here we are.
two
So
things. Can you tell them? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Taylor.
I was just gonna ask, have you did you have did you write any like encounters from like, or did you have any encounters from like being in the culinary industry that you that you
Woo! Hmm.
that you put into your book, um that have to deal with these same lines of issues?
You want to know what's funny?
Yes.
There are some people in the culinary industry that were my bosses. When
Mhm.
they found out that I had written this book, they were very, very nervous.
Mhm.
Very nervous because they know how they've treated me. But guess
Mhm.
what? I didn't put it in the book
Yeah.
because I said there are some things that I have not yet shared.
Mhm.
There's some things that it's not the season to come out yet. So I held back, but I can remember working in a country club where I was the only African American and the only female.
Mhm.
The culinary industry is a industry that is dominated by white males.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, African American women are they're starting to integrate us in there slowly,
Mhm.
but it is ironic. The irony is, when I read Humans Dehumanized, when I wrote it, if you think about it, we were the first culinarians. We were the first
Mhm.
culinarians. And the irony is, black women were the first culinarians, and we're the last ones to be accepted into the kitchen. How ironic is that?
That's because we always had our own kitchens that we didn't need to be accepted
Yes.
in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. That's where these
That's a
wonderful
word.
recipes come from. So, yes.
that's awesome.
Thank
It's a lot. It's a lot of
Wonderful.
it is definitely a male dominated
you. Hmm.
industry. I think a lot of things that come with culinary. I can remember being in high school and we did like a half day go to the culinary and
Hmm.
work in different things. And I went to the city that's closest to us. We always had like some issues with racism, and I just couldn't believe like it wasn't anything that was like
Hmm.
racial. I just didn't realize men were so horrible.
Yeah.
like 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 picking
Hmm.
up like a piece of a pork tenderloin and
Hmm.
pretending it's body parts
Yes,
and
yes,
like
yes.
dropping it on the floor
Hmm.
and just
Hmm.
like taking it to the sink and wash it off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I would never eat here.
No,
Like
no.
like things like that. You're like, why are you even acting like this? But
Right.
they got moved up in the company the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Um they got the most respect. Whoever can drink the most shots at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
night with the boss.
Mm-hmm. And money.
Crazy.
And they make more money than we do.
Mhm.
And that honestly has been my biggest struggle in the culinary industry is money.
Yeah.
My salary does not compare to what I know.
Right.
And and because of that, I have to admit, ladies, I withdrew internally, spiritually. I withdrew and I hate to use this word, but I kind of dumb me down a little bit
Right.
because I want them to think that I don't know anything until you actually talk to me. And then I can begin to explain what I know because I love learning. I love learning. And I just kind of pull back and like, okay, I'm wiser than what you know,
Yeah.
but there's a time and a season for everything. And maybe now is my time and my season through this
And
book.
yeah, but your book, I was gonna say, it doesn't always have to be proven in the kitchen, what your
Mm-hmm.
skills are. A lot of people feel like their career defines their whole life. And you're a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example of it has nothing to do. You're an author and you do culinary arts.
Mm-hmm.
People will be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, she just does this or she just does that," and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, people have so many layers to them. They have so many
Yes.
things that they know that they've
Mm-hmm.
been through. Um, you could have learned how to cook from like your mom, when you were
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
5.
Mm-hmm.
You just needed a degree to
I
get
needed a
in
degree.
a certain building, but
There you go.
you could have been
Mm-hmm.
cooking all your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember when I was about to graduate, I was doing a program, and the guy was like, "You're so stupid. You paid $50,000 for a culinary degree, and we're working in the same position." I was like, "What?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would you be
Mm-hmm.
disrespectful like that? But
Right.
we were starting in the same position. We didn't end up
Mm-hmm.
in the same.
That's
I went
right.
on to do other things that he probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do based on like his attitude,
Mm-hmm.
how he treated other people. But a lot of people just don't see that. They just see like we're here doing the same thing. I'm better.
And I'm better than you.
Doesn't even
Boxing
have
you in.
anything. Yeah, nothing to do
Yes.
with that at all. So
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Here again, Shannon, what the name of your book is and how people can purchase your book.
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
So yes, you can purchase the book through Amazon. Right
Yep,
now, but
I was
I'm
behind
sorry.
you.
Yes.
Pearls
And
from my heart.
pearls from my heart. And if you the reason why this was not the original title of this book. I can't remember what the original title was, but pearls is the only jewelry that comes from a living organism. And when you think about it, a pearl is precious and priceless. And we are living organisms. And so it takes years for one single pearl to form. And it's what happens is there's this hard outer shell called nacre, nacre, and that's what forms on the inside of the clam, and it becomes a pearl. And it actually starts out as a parasite, and it takes up to 3 years, sometimes longer, for one single pearl to be produced. So I chose pearls from my heart because when you think of the years, well, for me, when I look back over the years of all the hard times that I experienced, and what God was doing was He was forming that nacre, that pearl, on my heart. And that's why I chose the title Pearls from My Heart, because I'm a living organism and God produced pearls from me, from my heart times.
I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Tell me this.
Hmm.
What is your favorite meal to prepare?
Wow. I'm going to say pastas. I love pastas. In fact, I got in trouble with pastas with my doctor 2 weeks ago. She told me stop
Do
with the
tell.
carbs. She told me stop with the carbs. Pastas. I love creating sauces. I love creating sauces. So I collect wines. I'm a member of the Cooper's Hawk Wine Club and a couple of other wine clubs. So I collect wines and I'm always looking for a new wine. So when I'm preparing pastas, I like to create different sauces with my wines. Some have not been so successful, and that's okay. That's why it's called creativity. But chicken, I can do multiple things with chicken. And so what I love to do is prepare pastas with a sauce. And I like to go in my refrigerator. What do I have? Today I did a rice. I prepared a meal for my dad today. And I had a huge bone-in chicken breast. And so yesterday I had a big bundle of cilantro. Threw the cilantro in the blender, threw some onions in the blender, some oil and garlic, and a dressing. I won't tell the dressing. Yes, I will. I threw the dressing in there and blended it. And then I coated the chicken breast in that and I let it marinate. Then today I baked it off with the rice. I made a pot of rice and said, what's in the refrigerator? Spinach, bell peppers, onions, garlic. So I just chopped all that up and threw it, mixed it in with the rice. So
delicious.
I love being creative. I don't like to do the same thing every time. I like to take it up a notch. So
I love
yes.
it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get started with your cooking? How did you develop that talent?
I was a young mom. Um, I had my first child when I was 16, and so I got out on my own really, really early. My mom was supportive, but non-supportive. Let me make that clear. Mom was supportive. I love you, but I'm not babysitting. There goes the non-supportive part. That was not mean. I thought it was mean, but she wasn't being mean. She was teaching me to be responsible at an early age. She said, "You are now a woman." So at an early age, I was still in high school. She said, "Oh, by the way, you will finish high school." And so I did. I graduated on time, and then I got married early. Um, Rufus and I got married. I believe we were 18 or 19.
Rufus.
Yes, Rufus. So we
Yes.
got married really early, and I had to learn. I just got in the kitchen and just made a lot of mistakes. I'll never forget the first ham that I cooked. I cooked it with the plastic on it. And I was like,
Yeah,
what
that's a
is
different
this?
ingredient.
Pulling it out of my mouth. So with that, I just kept going. I didn't give up. I was working at OSU. I am retired from Ohio State, OSU Medical Center. So I was working at OSU and cooking.
Mm.
And then when I retired from OSU, I retired at 33 years old. And I said, now I'm going to do what I love doing. I'm going back to school to get my degree in culinary arts. And that's exactly what I did. And I just never looked back.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
You're cooking and doing working at the Columbus State in the new Cameron Mitchell wing, I would call it.
Yes, yes.
And if you don't know anything about Cameron Mitchell, he
Mhm.
owned how many restaurants around the
For
country? Lot, lot.
yeah. Let's just say a lot, a lot, a lot.
Definitely he has very high-end clientele with his the Ocean Club here in the
Yes, he
city of
does.
Columbus, and uh, quite a few of them. Anyone
Mm-hmm.
can do a Google search on that name, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll find out how many restaurants he owns. But he has also humble beginnings, and he has a
Oh,
heart
yes.
for people that are in the culinary industry, because he started at an entry level position as well, and worked his way
Dishwashing.
up with hard work and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. So definitely, if you're working for him, I know that you got something to share. You doing your dang
Yes.
thing and
And
teaching.
he has an amazing team that he brings in whenever he's getting ready to open up a restaurant. He brings in what they call CMR, which is
Hmm.
Cameron Mitchell, his team of chefs and administrators. They come in and they train you, and they are amazing. They're amazing.
Anybody knows anything about Columbus and our our food industry here. I mean, it's just, we are kind of like the test kitchen of America
Yes,
in the
yes, we
world.
are.
If anybody knows that, everybody comes here to train. I mean, we have
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yes, we
restaurants
do.
and ghost kitchens and
Mm-hmm.
culinary. Jenny's Ice Cream is headquarters here,
Oh.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's just, we are the capital of, if you want it popping, you start here,
Start
you know,
here and then branch out. Yes, ma'am.
and you branch out from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So it's just, I have some questions here. Let me
Mm-hmm.
go into them.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, what was your biggest challenge writing your poetry and writing your book?
Trusting myself. That
Big.
is the biggest challenge. Trusting and believing in myself. Man, no, but I believe in everybody but Shannon. I believed in everybody but Shannon. I encouraged everybody but Shannon. I spoke a word into everybody but Shannon. And I just didn't, I would write and be like, no, ooh, somebody might get offended. Go back through and erase. I can show you, I can't tell you how many notepads I have where I have written and rewritten over and over. And then I finally got to a place where I said, you know what? This is it. This is it. So I set a deadline for myself to complete this project. I set a deadline because if not, I'd still be writing and I'd still be erasing and tearing up and throwing it in the trash. I also put up a vision board, and the vision board is on my office door. And in green is my short term goals, and in red are my long term goals. And every time I complete a goal, I would go in and put the date that I completed it and check mark it. So the biggest challenge in writing this book, the one person that kept getting in my way was me.
It's one of the hardest challenges in life is not being
Hmm.
in your own way,
That's right.
especially when you've had people opinions that you listen to or your own personal opinions that you accepted of other
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, yeah. And you believe the lies that the enemy tells you about you.
Right?
And so you have to shut that noise up. Like, no, you're a liar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I did not see Shannon as an author last year.
Right.
I didn't see it. But that's the wonderful thing about God. If He showed us, we would mess it up.
In a heartbeat.
We would mess it up. I
That is so
remember in October of last year, I had two car accidents. The first one was October 5th. I was rear ended sitting at a light. The next one was October 31st. I was rear ended sitting at a light. That's a
wow.
total of 4 times that I was rear ended sitting at a light. And before the one on the 31st, the one on the 5th, I began to go downhill. And I'm not talking just in my physical body, in my spirit, I began to go downhill. And I started giving up. I started giving up. And so the one on October 31st, I remember that day so clearly. I woke up and my heart was heavy that day. And I was out taking care of some business. It was a Saturday, and my heart was so heavy. And I said, God, I'm not understanding why my heart is heavy when today's a beautiful day. What is going on? Why am I so heavy? So I went to get something to eat in Gahanna, and I was at a light, and this guy in this big truck, bam, he hits me, pushes me out into the intersection. The light was green and traffic was coming as I'm being pushed into the intersection. And the car that was coming swerved to miss me. And for that moment, I was confused about what was going on. But when I got hit and I pulled over, the Holy Spirit said, The man came up to my car and he said, "I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" And the Holy Spirit said, "Hug him." You talking to me?
Right?
He just hit me. And so I told the man, I was like, "I'm okay." I got out the car to assess the damage. I get out the car to look at the damage he had done. And the Holy Spirit said, "Hug him." You see this damage this man just did to my car? You want me to hug him? So the man's talking to me. We're exchanging information. And as we're exchanging information, the Holy Spirit, the third time, said, "Hug him." And I looked at him and he said, "I am so sorry." And this man broke down crying, just crying. And he said, "My wife just died of brain cancer." I said, "Do you mind if I hug you?" And he said, "Absolutely." Here we are on Hamilton Road in Gahanna, crying and standing in the middle of the street hugging each other, crying. At that very moment, that heaviness was lifted off of me. It wasn't for me. It was for him. To this day, that man is my best friend. I adore that man. We talk every week. He told me, he said, "Miss Shannon, I was in a dark place before I ran into you." And just a dark, "Hi, cutie." He said, "I was in a dark place. And I began to pray for him." And he said that when I prayed for him, he said something changed inside of him.
Look at God. Just
Look
look
at
at
God.
that.
What?
Wasn't for you. You're right. You wasn't. You. I mean, you woke up. You had this feeling. You did
Mm-hmm.
heaviness. You just had a tragedy. A few days before, weeks before, and here it is again.
And
And what
it,
a witness that is. What an opportunity to be a witness.
mm, mm, mm. I'll never forget to this day, this man and I talk every week, and I adore
Am-
him. I adore him.
Amazing.
So what we do is not for us,
Mm,
it's for someone else.
now that's a word for me today.
Yes.
That's definitely a word for me today.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I have definitely been inspired by your
Mm-hmm.
um, by you joining us and
Mm-hmm.
sharing with us.
Thank
And
you.
it's just, I can't wait for more.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wait for more. I want to go on record as saying that I would love to order copies of your book to
Oh,
anybody that
Jesus.
you want to share the
Jesus.
book with. It's all right. It's all right.
No, sorry.
That's all right.
Faith, faith is dead without works. And I could have continued to sit on this gift and
Mm,
continue to talk and say, I'm all, but faith moved me in a direction to get it done.
mm-hmm,
And what you don't know, the blessing you don't know, is the financial struggle that it's
mm,
been.
mm.
But it's been
Imagine.
good. It's been good. I mean, I don't want for anything, but God is just giving me this. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. He will provide. He promised us He would provide all of our needs according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus.
Absolutely.
And so I thank you for your love. This has been an amazing interview. I'm just, I can't wait for the world, not Columbus, Ohio, the world, not the United States, the world, to see what God has done through little old Shannon.
And, what we're talking about, business,
Right.
treats, and this is the life part. So it's all
Yes,
good.
it's been a blessing learning. I mean, like, really? Really, Tamela? She held all that back? Wow. I want to interview you.
Right. How about that?
You
Um,
you definitely have an amazing story, and I'm thankful that we got to sit here and have this interview as well. Um, there's so many things that people I'm sure would like to know about you. Um, how can people find out more about the culinary things that you do? I know you said you're working from home right now, but when would you be like getting back into a restaurant, or do you do any catering yourself, or how does that work?
so, um, what I'm going to do in a few short weeks, and I do mean short, I just ordered all the equipment to get started in the kitchen.
Hmm.
The rings, the everything, the equipment, all the tools to get started as soon as possible. People can reach me through my email address, which is sdmorgan manuscript. SD Morgan's, S is in Shannon, D is in Denise, Morgan's manuscript at
Okay.
gmail.com. Okay. And people can reach me, they can email me, um, and just stay tuned. Hopefully, I'll get to do another interview with you guys. And when we do the next interview, we will be ready to tune into Cooking with Grace.
That would be
Okay.
That would be so
awesome.
exciting.
Yes,
Super
yes.
exciting. Yeah, and all of the work that you do as far as like helping
Mm-hmm.
women and families learn how to, survive in food deserts, and
Mm-hmm.
just even getting people acquainted with fresh vegetables.
Yes.
I really commend you for these things.
Yes.
We gave away food one day, and I asked the young lady did she wanted tomato. Now she had her boyfriend there and she
Mm-hmm.
had her baby there, and I'm like, "You want tomato?" And she was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "I know you didn't. I know you didn't."
She was playing, right?
I don't think she was playing. I really don't think she was playing, because
Oh
I think
my.
I think she hadn't seen like fresh. She was used to like the
Mm-hmm.
processed
Cans.
things. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
canned processed things. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes,
That's
know
it
I'm
is.
not that much older than you. I know,
yeah.
Work to
And I
do.
was just like flabbergasted. But
Mm-hmm.
just imagine now with like um more parents being younger or not
Yes.
having anybody to like look out for them is
Mm-hmm.
definitely a challenge. So that cooking with grace is gonna be beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
not only because of the grace that God's gonna give you for it, but
Jesus.
because we need grace.
We do.
So
We need grace, not just saying grace
definitely
before we eat.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we
Yeah.
definitely do. So
Yes. I want to, and in my segments, I'm going to have a layout of small kitchen equipment, small kitchen appliances that you don't see too often, and explain to them, or demonstrate how to use it, why we need it in our homes, and just those are the things that I want to educate them on, and even some culinary terminologies. But in sharing that while I'm cooking, maybe give them a little bit of flow on the poetry, you
yeah.
know. Like, I'm cooking this rice, I'm cooking it tonight. I'm going to, I don't know. I'm not a rapper. but but I certainly hope that you ladies invite me back, and we can go in a little more detail, and hopefully by then I'll be already in full swing with Cooking with Grace.
Definitely. It's a pleasure to meet you and talk to
You
you.
as well. You as
you're
well.
welcome back anytime with
Thank you.
Cooking with Grace or the other two cookbooks that you
Mhm.
have,
Yes.
or even come back and give us an update, with
Yes.
Pearls from My Heart.
Hmm.
We're open, and anytime that you want to come on our platform, it's open to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the blessings. This is very, very humbling. And I ask God,
Thank you.
I said, wherever you take me, keep me humble
Mhm.
wherever you take me. Whatever audience you put in front of me or put me in front of, keep me humble. When I printed out my entire manuscript, I took that manuscript and I laid it on my prayer bench. And I kept it on my prayer bench. And I asked God to bless every process that this book goes through, every hand that touches this book, that He would bless it and anoint it. I don't want to call this my book. I don't, because He instilled everything in me to write it. So I want to be very careful about that. Okay.
Point taken. Note taken.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You're welcome. So again, it was a pleasure, and I look forward to meeting everyone again.
This has been another episode of Tamela and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday. We would like to thank our guest Shannon for coming on, for bringing her lovely spirit, and just carrying the presence of God with her. So we thank you for that. We thank you for all the insight that you have given to us, and we wish you many blessings on your future endeavors. It is a beautiful thing that you put God first, and humbling experience even for us. I don't know how Tamela feels, but I just feel like I'm just Taylor. So, you know.
No,
And
Taylor, cruise ship. Go ahead.
yeah. Well,
I
we're
culture.
excited.
Please.
We're excited. We're excited. I am Taylor with Sweet Spirit Treats. I can be found on Instagram and Facebook at Sweet Spirit Treats. And Tamela, would you like to?
Yes, I am Tamela, and owner of Torlitas for that sweet and crunchy taste at Torlitas. And I want to say thanks again, Shannon, for taking the time out of your schedule to share with us on Tamela and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday, your experience with your book, Pearls from My Heart, as well as your culinary background and your culinary experiences. We look forward to talking with you at any time you want to come and share with us. I also want to mention that we are Tamela and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday is on the YouTube platform. We're on Instagram at Tamela Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday. And if you go to any of our bios, my bio or Taylor's bio, you'll definitely see our easy tree where you can go and click on the link in the bio and you'll be able to see our podcast. And we perform, or excuse me, we provide a podcast every week on
Mhm.
Tuesday. Just check back often on Tuesday, and you'll have links to the audio as well as the video.
Okay. Thank
And
you,
thank you.
ladies.
Yes, thank you. Thank
All
you for
right.
coming
Have a
on.
blessed week.
All
Have a
righty,
blessed
you
week.
too. Bye, ladies.
All right.
Bye.